Hello, everyone. Welcome to A Craft Evolved. My name is Raymond Corrado Knutson, and with me, I'll let y'all introduce yourselves because you're statues, Greek statues sitting there. The gods of voiceover will introduce themselves. I can't even do it.
Too kind.
My name is Jeff. I'm hosting this with you, Ray, so they know. Yes,
me. Sir. That's my solid bro and companion in crime, Jeff. And with us, we have.
My name is Adam Giannone. I'm a voice actor here in New York City.
Yes, sir. And let me just do a quick sound check just to make sure we're good to go. So add this button.
Yes. Quick sound check. No more technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Which has happened in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. Was it, like I said, having a little bit of that with Zoom just a couple minutes ago. So it's.
Yeah, man. It is what it is.
What a world.
The sound looks like it's working. It looks like it sounds proper. And there's nothing. What more can we ask for?
That's all I want.
Exactly. All right. So proper. As it says in the description, the whole thing today, we want to talk about voiceovers. We want to talk about voice acting. We want to talk about dubbing. We want to talk about audiobooks. And I think we'll start off with this beautiful new face that's with you and I, Jeff.
Yes.
On the stream. Don't you think that's appropriate?
Dude.
Let's introduce and start by talking to Adam and with Adam.
Yeah. I mean, one of the reasons, Adam, I was so stoked to have you is because, like, of everyone I know, I think you hustle the hardest for finding the voiceover jobs, finding the auditions, and then also finding success. Like your networking ability is amazing, which is something I'd love to like talk to you about and how you go about it, and just to help anyone else who's like, I'm starting at ground zero. I don't even know how to begin. Well, that was kind of you and me, and your hustle has given you success, and that's why I was like, dude, we got to get Adam on here. We got to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, thanks, dude. And first, thanks for both of you for having me on. It's really cool to talk to you guys about this. And I just like to preface I'm still learning, there's still so much, learning and developing and and just grinding through it all. And especially during quarantine, it is, the world has been in shambles, but, 2020, we can't pass off as our own individual little wins, I would say, for me specifically voiceover, building a booth and things like that. And with hustle specifically, it's, I just chalk it up to having no shame about direct, contact, because sometimes it really does work. There's always this kind of stigma against direct emailing and reaching out and cold calls and stuff. But, sometimes worded the right way and worded in a way of, you're staying humble, but you have something to offer them, or they know that you're in a place that they once were. That works. That really does work to your heroes. You never know who's going to reach out and who's going to reach back to you. So just kind of taking that chance of like, okay, here I am in this little position. Please help. Sometimes just saying like, I need some help.
Yes.
Just asking for help, in all aspects of life. Sometimes it reaps the most rewards.
People ask me like how to find a voiceover agent and stuff like that. Like they're like, I'm so lost with that. And the way I found the two agents I have was literally just going to their website and filling out their standard form and just giving a brief blurb that, and I was myself. I didn't keep it like, hello, I am Jeff Gorsica and I am an actor. I was like, no, hey, I'm like Jeff. I'm like looking to, do voiceover. This is some things I've done. And I'm always looking to like hustle more and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, and that worked like with two of them now, and many that haven't worked too. But like,
yeah. Well, that's also the thing that you got to say is like, okay, so for the, you get two agents, you get two emails back just saying, hey, I got your email and I really like what you do. Maybe. And sometimes it's just like, hey, we can't fit you on the roster, or hey, we can't use your voice right now. You're sending, and I know, Jeff, your hustle is the same way. It's like you're sending so many emails and you're sending, tons of things that just never get a return. But you also have to be fully okay with never getting that response. Fully okay with, okay, maybe they just didn't read it, they didn't have time, or they just didn't need me for something. But you're grounded enough in your own in your own talent and your own self to say like, well, I know it's not like I'm doing my work, which isn't just including backstage and Actors Access. I'm reaching out and I'm doing all this stuff. So there'll be a time maybe when they do reach out. Maybe Andrea Romano, who cast Animaniacs, will get back to me, which is something that I'm trying to plug for. Yeah. It might not work now, but it might work in a month.
Exactly.
When I email back.
Wish it for you. And that's the thing, because we talk about this sometimes on the podcast. Also, it's all the things that you don't really, it's never personal. You got to make sure it's not personal. It doesn't feel personal. You reach out and then you just see what happens. You put all these things out there into the world, and then, you just got to see what returns and what comes back. Would you say, Adam, that's how your journey has happened? Kind of getting into the voiceovers and voice acting, and it's been just the hustle.
It's been a hustle. Yeah. I mean, so I'm coming, mainly Jeff as well, really coming from film and theater and theater first, then film. But with voiceover, you got to have that acting background. It's you can be I think anyway, this is my personal opinion. And I know in the community, it's others as well, but it's like, you could be a voiceover artist, you could do, and it's not saying that is not important and that is not, vitally important and talent, to just do, whether it be promos or something like that, but, to really bring copy alive, it helps to have that acting background. So to go back on your question, it really has been the hustle with knowledge of like, okay, I have that behind me. I have that. So like, that's the first step is like, okay, this is what I've done acting wise. But then it's grind of just email, Instagram, Twitter, the voice app, if you're starting really from the bottom, just grinding on social media is also a huge thing. It might not reap the most rewards of like in terms of huge jobs, but in terms of, okay, I want to get an animation reel done by X amount by this time or whatever. You go on Discord, you go on Twitter, you go on Instagram, you find out who has animated this one thing, and you just find their YouTube page, find their email, hit contact, hit that, and then you found their email.
Yeah. Yep.
What a different world than 10 years ago,
right? We would never have that. We would never. But now, you go on Instagram and you could find Tom Bancroft. What's his name? Tom Bancroft, who animated for Disney Studios, and I got a response because he's creating a new studio.
There you go.
He's creating his own studio. He works with Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, and Walt Disney, and now I'm on his roster for voice actors.
There it is. You
couldn't do that years ago.
This is true, and it's funny how it aligns with, because we've asked this. Jeff and I have asked ourselves this question before: is what is social media? What is this now? What is this social media? What is this? You can Google everybody. You can get a hold of anybody, and it seems that we've been to this point where it's like, okay, it can be an important tool for you. But if it's not the way to, like, my question, let me just get to the question. How do you do your own stuff? Do you self-produce things? Did you earlier on self-produce things while you were hustling? And how? What did you do, for that? Like you were talking about your voice reel. How did you get that up and running?
I self-produced.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all self-produced.
And I did the same thing. We've talked about that, Adam, before on what makes a good reel and can I even make my own reel? Is it going to sound too amateurish? But I think, as we both found, the investment for like a condenser mic, which is what I'm using here, and just putting some sound dampening cloth on your wall, that's all you really need to, especially starting out.
Yeah.
That's square one. And then it comes back to what you said with just like grinding it. Like, you kind of have to keep recording yourself. You can't just be like, okay, I'm gonna knock one thing out. My voiceover reel's done. Like it's also a process to get a really good reel.
Yeah. I think that's, the best way to, training is important, but some of the best ways to do it and to get better is just to keep doing it, to keep plugging it. And to go back to the question you were saying is, self-producing and all that. I mean, whether it's the animation demos or whether it's commercial demos or something, if you really have that confidence, like you were saying, Jeff, to just kind of sit down, write the good copy, write the good stuff, you have a good mic, you have something set up, whatever it is. Like the first booth that I had, going into booth land was, I had a 15-gallon storage box, nailed it to the wall, put moving blankets inside to pad it, put this microphone, and before that it was another Shure SSH Mark II, whatever it was, and put that inside of the booth. And that led to work, and that work led to me getting money. That work led to me getting a better microphone, led to XYZ, and now it's led to, with everything else that's going on now, but now I have a nice booth, and now like all that work kind of show it.
Yeah.
I could get you a picture. I don't know. I could send a picture. I know I'm on my computer right now, but
no worries. But it's truly floor to ceiling sound dampened.
Yeah.
You can close the door and has a little monitor in there that you've set up.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's glorious. And that's one thing about this part of the craft that interests me a lot is where we do it. Like theater, we're all theater people. So theater we make collectively, with other people, and in spaces and in places, and film even as well. We make it in spaces and in places, and it has this physical space. While in a booth, now I'd also done a bit of radio theater also I like to work with. And
Fluidity is great.
You
Yeah.
create the space that where there is none, where literally you're in this little 10-gallon or 15-gallon, would you say, moving box, and you create that space with layers, with your work, with your voice. Would you, and this is to both of you guys, because I know you've done this a lot more than I have. What would you say the prime difference is in, let's say, doing a pure commercial promotional video to doing an audiobook, for instance, or doing a role on a video game? I know you've done video games as well, Adam.
Yeah.
What would be the difference in the acting work we do? You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Man, Adam, yeah, why don't take that one first? Yeah.
Well, with audiobooks, I'm going to hand that one to you. But first, I'll talk on like the video game world and just kind of where it plays. Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, with theater, you have an audience to feed off of. You know, you have the audience, you have the stage, you have, maybe not now with Zoom and stuff like that, but this is a temporary thing. Film, even, you're playing to the camera, you're playing to even the crew members. Sometimes, you know, you don't want to say like, hey, but they are there. But usually with voiceover, at least in today's world, you're in the booth alone. You're in the booth alone, and if you're lucky, and you know, which I haven't had the pleasure even to do yet, animated show where you're with your co-stars inside of the studio, and I look forward to that day, you know. But you know, that really is the difference, is you are alone in the imagination of creating these characters on your own. And sometimes you just play, you know, reading copy with yourself, you know, a lot happens, you know, if you're doing two characters in a scene, you know, that happens. If you don't have someone to feed you the lines, even sometimes you really have to be on your game of how you respond to a character that you're not even hearing in your ear. A lot of times, if you're doing it on your own. If you're in the studio, then you have like a director, you know, giving you that, you know, giving it to you.
Yeah.
You know, but that's a lot for, go ahead, Jeff. That, you know, that's at least for like video games and kind of animation, but for audiobooks, I've found that kind of more difficult. So,
yeah. I was going to say that, you know, when I've done any kind of character voices, and especially this is usually for commercials when I've done it, and they need a certain, you know, they say in the description, either high energy or sounds super, you know-it-all-y or something like that. I will read the other characters out loud and then do mine.
And then like, coming back.
It may be weird, but
right?
like, it's like a very small technique of just like, because if I just try and do it, sometimes I don't land it. Like, you know, like 1 out of 100 times I'll have a great take that way. I really need to like hear where I'm coming from to then say my line and deliver it in a way that they, you know, that they're asking for.
It's very strange, isn't it? You become your own partner.
Yeah.
And it's that one thing we've always gone through, learning through school and through every single interaction we've had as actors, is you need your partner.
You bounce it on.
Partner, man.
And having
repetition is
repetition.
Oh,
and then we end up being, and we've all, I don't know, I was gonna say we've all acted to, I don't know if have ever acted to a crystal dolphin hanging off a ceiling fan for a self-tape. You know what I mean? Like we've all had those partners. But it is a strange place to be. And also another thing, and this is where I want to speak a little bit about the experience I have, a little bit of the experience I have in audiobooks, is where I am. Because there's theater where the audience is with us in this box and we're big. And then there's film where we're smaller and the camera comes into us. Yeah. And then there's that audiobook format. And I really am in love with it in the sense that you are literally inside someone's ear. You're whispering in their ear. You're in their head talking to them.
Yeah.
And to me, being a storyteller in that place is very, very interesting. You know, and I don't know, just to kind of segue it into audiobooks a little bit, but if you want to talk about that, Jeff, I don't know how you feel about it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. So I started audiobooks. First of all, I can't even believe that I'm the audiobook guy, because I never read growing up. Like, I hated reading. But what I found is like, and I can say this website for people who are listening. ACX.com is Audible's home narrator service. and it's completely legit. It's run through Audible. They make sure you get paid, and there's hundreds of auditions daily. And anyway, so I remember like I was looking for extra money, and I was like, I'll just try audiobooks. I've heard of this before. And what I found is that like I kind of had a knack for just like reading the text in a way that like it just kind of carried me along. I didn't think too much about it. Like I just was like, to say with what Ray was saying, it's like, yeah, we've all acted alone, but like with audiobooks, it kind of does it for you, because you always have this narrator presence that's telling you where you are, that even is telling you what the characters are thinking. Then you can just kind of spice in your characters. The characters are like actually 1% of like your audiobook, but like you have all this backstory. It's setting the space for you. All you have to do is read it. Like I truly don't think about that part too much. The only part that can get in my head a little bit is when I'm trying to like do different characters and make them distinct. For me personally, I keep it very simple. I'll just have my voice be a little bit higher, or maybe just a little bit lower. And like, that's like, let's not make it more complicated than that. And you can do 15 characters by just having a small change
for sure. And you can hear like there these variations in pardon me, how different people read their stories. There are, I mean, I remember reading through what is it, Dutrice, who did Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire series, where every single voice had its own very unique character in it, and that must have killed the guy to do all those books with all those voices.
They pay him the big bucks for
that's
there.
What they pay him.
Yeah.
But just the subtlety of it, in many ways, and that's where I want to kind of shift it back over into voicing, especially things like video games. I'm very interested in that idea. Like, is it similar to a regular animation film process where you have the script, you read the script, and then they animate, or how does that work? And how much do you come as an actor into that? Is my question.
I mean, fully as an actor, it's always, pretty much every part of, if you aren't acting, if you aren't fully putting yourself in those shoes, they have is the audio. I mean, for video games, you're gonna, hopefully be in a good video game that, the facial recognition or this circumstance kind of brings everybody into the immersion of it. But your job is, in my mind, is to fully bring them in so they wouldn't even need the video game part. Yeah. To understand the emotion, to understand. Just like, if you're doing an audiobook with a high intense scene or something, excuse me, just want to turn this off, with a high intense scene or something like that, you want to bring that emotion out. Maybe not so it's so overly, as much as a radio drama per se, but you still kind of want to really bring them in. It's fully acting. It's fully, if you're not, then there's something wrong. For sure. I remember, and this is, as you speak now, I think of, which I do mention quite a bit throughout life, the Fable video game series. I know Jeff has his he has his own, but the voice acting, especially, I remember how they had John Cleese in there, they had Judi Dench in there, during, and that's when I really started noticing the work. You know what I mean? Because and how every single time I'd play a video game that was a good game that had a good story, all of these people are good actors. In the room. Yeah, that's the paramount. That's the most important thing. So, and I guess it was as soon as I had Fable as a grounds for comparison, if you will, I was like, wow, because then I could understand suddenly how video games strike me as, some people will write that this is not a great game. And they'll be, it's this, it's that. And I'll be like, no, it's the acting. These people haven't been given the time. They haven't been given the freedom. They haven't been, the lines or whatever, or junk. And that to me is so, and it's interesting that you mentioned that. I want to just recap that, how if it's done well, you might not even need the game. It's just the scene. That's scene. Really cool. Yeah. And going back to a part that you were asking before is like, do you get the lines beforehand and stuff? From my experience, so far you get like an Excel kind of sheet, You know, and that's a lot of times what I've seen in bigger games and in smaller games that I've had the pleasure to work on. You know, you get an Excel sheet with it kind of works for everything. It's for the director, for the producer. It has the time code. It has that kind of thing. It has the direction, what you're responding to, your lines, and then what kind of comes after it in the scene. Because you're not going to really see the video game.
No.
You're not going to see until later on. You're not going to see the mod. You're not going to see the video game till months probably later. Just like anything with animation, you're not going to see it till months later. So you get a basic script, but the script for video games, as I've found so far, is the standard is like an Excel sheet. And
So
that's
it's more,
how it's delivered.
it's more similar to the dub, how they do the dubs. So
it is like a little bit, yeah. And it depends kind of, it's time. Yeah. I mean, there's time codes, you know, and it depends kind of, each dub house might do it a little bit differently. You know, the ones I've found though are of the same kind of vein, where it's, with video games, it's a little more technical, and there's stuff that as an actor I've looked at, but I've been like, okay, this is definitely for the devs, you know, developers. But for dubbing, it's usually like, okay, this is your name, this is the character's name, you got the time code, you got your line. That's it. You usually have no idea what you're going into. Sometimes you get, and a lot of times with dubs, with video games, at least with dubs so far as I've worked in the studio for, you get it the day of. You have no idea what you're doing. You know, you have no idea of the character. You have no idea of the dub. You have no idea. Here it is. You do it.
Yep. They give, and it's funny about dubbing, because often and this is what I've noticed with dubs, is that I've only worked with one house over here, and I really appreciate them as technicians and directors, because it always floors me how good they are at not making you this character who the character is originally in the other language. They want the essence of this person needs to come out, and they want you to be in it. And even though you feel like I've showed up on the day, I remember the first time I walked into a dubbing studio, I walked in there, I was like, okay, I have no script, I have no idea what I'm doing. What is this all about? I walk into the booth, I see the screen with the thing on it, and then there's all this list of lines. I'm like, this is not what I'm used to doing. And after a couple takes, though, my shoulders were starting to drop, because it's and we've also mentioned this in an earlier podcast, Jeff, how it's this mix between being an actor and being a musician at the same time. You know, it's very technical, it's very on time. You have to make sure that it's in the right place, but then there's that freedom within it where you can just go for it. You know, you get this, especially if, and I did it, what I was doing primarily was animation for kids. So like you could just go crazy and do these wild things, and you're really free, even though it's within that constraint of the timestamp or the sheet, you know?
Yeah. It's almost like the forum they give you allows you to then play within it. Cause it's like, oh, I have this much time. I know that. So maybe I can find one moment where I get really loud, or, you know, it could be as technical as that, but it's like that structure actually can help you.
Yep.
You know? Yeah.
And everybody will know. Thank God. Oh, we can't see his mouth on that line. Yes, I'm going to go crazy. There's that. That's it. Beautiful. Now let me ask you. So because what we talk about on this show primarily is what we've been talking about now. Is this is geared toward people who are doing what we do, and it's kind of a technical chat, a commiseration a little bit. It's all those things and all those above. So is there anything you're into right now? What are you like these days? What are you up to and into right now? What is feeding you doing what you do with voices and dubs and reading?
Sure. I mean, kind of as I was saying, animation is really something that I'm really heading for. That's really something that I, just looking up this whole week coming up, I'm sending out a whole list of, just cold emails just to people, like I said, Andre Romano, Animaniacs, Sarah Jane Sherman, who's doing it now. Andre Romano did it back in the 90s, and now Sarah Jane Sherman is the one who's casting, directing it now. And, just those kind of people. Getting those emails too. There's something that I'm going to be working on this month. It's called Funny Voice Fridays. Cool. Good old Funny Voice Fridays. So that's going to start. It's going to be a YouTube show, an Instagram show where I don't know if the viewers now, if you guys have heard of, like, there's a Vanity Fair did a really great series of famous voice actors who improvised 10 of original characters, something like that. And then it's also a combination of, if you remember the old Cartoon Network, Cartoon Fridays. So you put those two together. And Funny Voice Fridays is basically me going online, going on Instagram, reaching out to possibly high-level Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network animators and character designers, seeing if I could use their work, looking at their original characters, and then giving a voice to those original characters and doing like 5 of those characters in each episode and do 2 artists per episode.
That's awesome.
So it's kind of a way to network with these people who worked at Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network and Disney and all that kind of stuff, and also a way to show that I can take original characters, mess with them a little bit, and then give them a voice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
so that's kind of, it's practice, but it's also networking all in the same bundle.
Yeah.
And grows your social media following, or at least puts some content out there. I think it's
and exactly. It puts content out there, because content is and Jeff, we've talked about this. Sometimes it's a drag.
It's tough. Well, me and Ray have talked about it too. It's like, is it necessary? Probably not. Is there any reason not to pump out content? Also, probably not. You've got nothing to lose. Putting out content can only help you. Is kind of what we've talked about.
Yeah.
We don't think it's your like golden ticket. It's not like going to, suddenly get you on, Adult Swim voicing, Archer or something. So I don't think that's your path, but it can help you.
It can help you, yeah. And until you get to those producers who are like, you have 100,000. We're only looking for 100,000, and I just. It's just because that's a real thing too.
I've heard of that,
looking for a follower account, and it's like, but I can do it better. It's like, and maybe sometimes those are very good, but it's like, if you're going to be an Instagram influencer and then or a YouTube influencer, and then get a job on a new YouTube film because you're Logan Paul, who's I won't go into that, but you know what I mean? It's like, then you get a multi-million-dollar contract because you're Logan Paul, and then you do awful things.
You said it, dude. Yeah.
Amen.
So good and bad.
Continue that role. You're on a great role, because what I'm doing here, I'm sneaking around in the background. I'm kind of like going, while you guys are chatting, because I'm chatting. I've just found you. I found you on the Instagram. Is this Adam's Voices? Is that the one?
Oh, that's that's the one. Yeah.
I wish I could pull it up on the computer, but I can't. I'll just stick it up in front of the camera so people can see what the thing looks like.
We're making it work,
right? Because you got amateur hour and Dixie, but who cares? This is what it looks like. All right, people watching, this is what it looks like. All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna post it.
We also have to say, you only started it. What would you say? A month and a half ago? Like
something like that. Yeah. And really just trying to do as much as possible. Maybe 2 months ago or something like that.
And it's already very impressive, is what I was.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
is what I think. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, dude. No, I appreciate that, and just trying to put as much out as possible, and not get swept up in it, and still trying to write and even this week, kind of just formulating a game plan of social media calendar. Of like, okay, at least a post a day, stay consistent, keep it consistent, 2 p.m. daily, whatever it is for anybody. That's just kind of my ideas.
And is that for because this is, to me, a lot of it, I like to challenge myself on this whole social media idea. Jeff and I talk about it extensively, as you just mentioned. When does, because I also have the other YouTube channel where I play video games and the original Yank channel, and I noticed that I've cut making videos and posting videos, and I only live stream now because I like to do it more.
Yeah.
But I had a schedule for a while where I'd kind of like do like I'd try to put up one video a day or one video every other day, and then eventually it became this it became this thing where I had to do it and I didn't want to do it, and I just got so upset about having to post something on YouTube. Now, of course, but what kind of content do you post? Like what is it you make that would make it possible to do this like every day? Like, let's say a post a day for 6 months. What would you what do you do?
I mean, the plan that I'm going to really start rolling out is whether, of course, the Funny Voice Fridays thing is going to be happening soon. The process of creating, I don't know if you guys have, know Gary Vaynerchuk. If you guys have heard of Gary Vaynerchuk. So Gary Vaynerchuk's he's great. He's really big into using social media as a tool and business marketing, that kind of stuff. And this works for business marketing, but when it comes to voiceover specifically and acting, but like voiceover specifically feels more like a business. It is, you are marketing, you have a thing to market, specifically your voice and what you could do with it. Why not market it like just a business, So he always says something that's document, don't create. What he really means by that is you still want to create the thing you want to create, right? Like Funny Voice Fridays as a show is the product. But if you document all along the way, just like when we go on Instagram and we see behind the scenes of creating a theater show, we love that stuff. We love that stuff. So why not show it with our own personal ventures of, okay, we're making this show. Why not show like, hey guys, today I'm, blah, blah, blah. I'm video journaling me writing an episode, or I'm trying to find this voice for this character and I haven't gotten it yet, but I'm trying to get it. Well, if we put that stuff out, people love that. You know what I like? People, and even if some people don't like it, it's still, the whole YouTube algorithm is like any interaction is a good interaction, even if they're thumbs downing it. So like, even if you're just putting out content, because of the nature of the beast, Instagram loves it and will show it to more people.
Yep. That makes sense. And it's also, I like that whole concept. I never even thought of it like that before. Document, what you do.
Yeah.
That's the value. And it's more so than because like we are up against, I'm going to us as actors now, but we're up against everything else. We're up against Logan Paul. We're up against,
Great.
Unfortunately, in these medias, in this medium we are, and these people who are a mix between kind of media majors, influencers, and younger than us millennials. I don't know how old you are, but like 5-6 years younger than me, I can tell that they're already off.
Yeah, they're already. And
yeah.
I think that documenting what we do more so than trying to create something that's already been created without the tools, because we make professional theater, we make movies, we make TV shows, and we're usually in the role as what we actually do best.
Right.
And this is something that just hit me, and this is one of like the deep moment of the podcast or that stream for me.
It's happened.
It's that
There it is.
Here it is. It's the fact that instead of trying to create something on this monster that everyone does, not everyone, but people do better because they know different things, then instead document what we do best. And I think that has a much higher intrinsic value than trying to create something. Like instead of making one's own animation series on Instagram, that's something that I know nothing about, but I could document what I'm doing working on this audiobook. And it's
exactly
in many ways much more interesting.
People love that stuff. People love that stuff. It's content that you can put out, and it's for the people also wanting to learn audio, just like this podcast, really. Not to get too meta about it. Like people love to.
Oh, we're meta. Oh, we are.
We're meta. Great. Well, there's another podcast that I like.
Yes, we're talking about a podcast on the podcast.
Oh, talking about a podcast on a podcast. But it's called Startup, and it was a podcast about starting a podcast.
Oh, nice. There you go.
And we're talking about it on a podcast, so I guess that'll.
I'm sweating.
But right, I know. But it was cool because it shows that kind of mentality of documenting the process of, and a lot of people. That's what put Gimlet Media, part of it, on the map. Is when people want to learn how to do it, and when people just think like, hey, how does a podcast get created? How does an audiobook get created? How does someone come up with a character voice? Yeah, you're going to do that alone, but why not just film it and put it out?
Yeah.
And I think,
you're going to do it anyway, right? And sometimes if you don't mind looking, you don't mind not doing the jump cuts, you can get stuff out. And then with just a little polishing up, a little title card, you got yourself today's piece of content.
And I think about like, it's so easy to get just a tripod for your phone, and you put that up by your computer. And while you may not have a job every day, it's you could have an audition every day. I think that's actually a very real thing in this industry of voiceover from home.
Yeah,
whether it's an
very much.
audiobook or whether it's anything, you can actually, they're not too hard to find, I would say. And that is content though. If you want to put that, that's just your voice that you can put on the internet, you know, and just show what you're doing
while you're creating.
Yeah. And then
while you're going to create anyway, right? It's like, okay, if you have, any of the subscriptions to pay to play sites, you got Backstage, you got Actors Access, you got, and for specifically voiceover, you got Voices 123, you got voices.com, you've got
those
casting call club, you know, you got all these things, right? But even just the process of, as long as it's not sensitive material, and it's kind of on the fence, like don't show auditions well before you can. But just
which I have done before, and a casting director called me from Los Angeles. Quick story. I put the audition, it was a voiceover audition, on my YouTube page because I was so proud of it. And I got a call from LA and I was like, hello? They were like, hi, this is blah, blah, blah casting director from LA. I was like, yes. They were like, we saw your video on YouTube. I'm like, you did? And he's like, could you take that down? Until, but he did say, and this is something that we should actually keep in mind. He said, until the actual ad comes out.
Until the ad comes
out. Then we would love for you to that.
Yeah.
You know? I think there's this like old mentality of you must never post it. It's not, but like I think actually these companies don't mind if you put out like your audition for them. It's only more exposure for them.
Exactly. Free, man. It's free. You link to their products. And especially if you do a good job and they, you know what I mean? It's perfect. It's free.
Yeah.
So as long as they can get the prime revenue first, then do what you need to do.
That's right.
Kind of on that note too, there's another YouTuber that's out there that's VO Journey, and he has a podcast and he also has a YouTube channel. And he says that same kind of thing, like to create more content just to show off. You could take a car company, for instance, go on their website, look up a good piece of copy, create or craft the copy, whatever you want to do from their website that hits on what their topical thing is, record it, create a good video with, Jeff, what's that waveform website that you use?
Dude, you know what? I actually have that through my video editing software, and
whatever it is,
and it shows the waveform of
waveform. That's
what I
put
use,
that in a video, add your voiceover, and say, in the description or on the thing, make a good title card for like Hyundai, for demo uses only. If you don't even really have to put that, but it's another way to show that you can do something. It's another way. It's kind of the same idea of Funny Voice Fridays is like, okay, I took this character, put it here. It's not a real character. I didn't get paid to do it, but you can see that I can go from way up here to something way down here for free. And now you guys can see that I can do that.
Yep.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, just to bring it, to banally bring it back to Hyundai real quick. Here, I sold you 100 cars. Sue me.
Sue me.
You know what I mean?
Please go ahead.
Even if one more car was sold, like that's like an extra car,
Exactly. They'll never come after you for promoting their product.
What you just said reminds me.
The only chance would be like if you completely said bad things about their product or something, and then said it was licensed by, like it wouldn't, it wouldn't make sense.
What you just said too is actually how I go about finding pieces for my reel too.
Yeah.
I'll listen to ads on Spotify, or I've literally Googled, and this is on many websites. It's like free commercial copy. You can Google that, and you can just take that, and then you can credit it on your YouTube page, which I have done. Been like, this is where I found it, or if I didn't write it myself. Sure. So the pressure of like writing your own copy actually can be lifted from us. We can just be like, okay, how about I take this Honey Nut Cheerios ad? It's 10 seconds. Like I'll use that.
There you go.
Yeah.
That is creating, and you document yourself creating. And then we found another use for social media. Jeff, that's one thing you brought us today, Adam, into the show.
Yeah.
You brought us another use tool for our social media toolbox that we found was willfully empty.
Yeah. I know it's tough because it's like, this it can be a drag if you don't really, just enjoy it off the bat. But if you can somehow, add something that you're going to be doing anyway, and then just get into the habit of being like, well, this is what I'm doing today. Then do the thing, put it up there, and then you have something.
Yeah.
Makes a little less of a drag.
For sure.
Dude. Yeah.
Makes it a little less of a drag. Well put. Well said. Adam, this has been amazing. I'm starting to like run out of just, we completely covered so much right now.
Dude, I'm glad. Yeah. I mean, if there's anything else, if there's anything you or anybody else wants to, ask, my Instagram was up there. It's at Adam's Voices.
Yes.
I'm always, that's another thing. Like I listen to a lot of voice actors, and just giving tips and tools that, like famous voices. There's a great, another great YouTube channel called VO Buzz Weekly, where I learn everything imaginable from the top tier voice actors, agents. They are some of the best people. I'm kind of in contact with the creator of the show and stuff. And
nice.
Most of the actors and people are always so humble. Rob Paulson always said, if I can be of service. Bob Bergen also said, who does all the Looney Tunes characters. Rob Paulson, who did the Animaniacs, always says, like, if I could ever help someone coming in, like, this community is always so welcoming. So if there's any of your listeners too that, ever want to hit me up,
nice.
I'm not so far ahead, but, just creating a booth or creating a reel and stuff like that, I'd be happy to help.
That's glorious.
Acting seems a little more cutthroat. Like
acting is so cutthroat.
Traditional, if you think about television actors or theater actors, it's a little bit more like, can we actually be friends? I don't know, because we're going for the same job.
If you go into like an EPA here in New York versus
everyone's quiet, everyone's not goofing around. Anytime I've ever talked to
there's it's so cutthroat. Being up at 5 a.m. for any equity principal audition versus you go to a booth and maybe they all sound like you, but it's just not as cutthroat, and that's also really been wonderful.
But it's a much more sharing community. You know what I mean? And I don't know why that is. It's kind of it's interesting, isn't it? But
maybe it's the idea that you walk into a room full of actors for film and theater and they all look like you.
That's that in itself is a humbling experience.
Oh yeah.
Not humbling. Yeah. I was going to say humiliating. Maybe no. I don't know where to bring it.
Scary, but it's just kind of maybe scary, and maybe it's like
it is.
Maybe more. I mean, you go and do an audition for usually you won't even see the other people for a casting call for a. You'll do it at home, but if not, they won't even look like you. They might be completely different, everything. And it's just what you could do with this little thing.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
That's good to know. That's something I did not know because I haven't really been involved in the community. So and it might have something. I think we should run the numbers. Somebody should do something someday. Someone should run the numbers on that because there's how many cartoons are produced, how many video games, cartoons, ads, infomercials are produced versus how many, versus TV shows and movies,
Yeah.
There might be
if it's
a holy grail
of two. One, and you've heard this too, Adam, I'm sure, but once you get into the industry, people will rehire you. And it's like, once your foot is in the door, it actually becomes a lot easier. Where acting, it does seem truly job to job. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I even did a Dave and Buster's commercial. I think I told you about this. And I auditioned and I got it and I did it from home. And then I was like, okay, thinking of it just like an acting job. Yeah, it's out of my hair. He called me out of the blue for another job. And we're just like, hey, dude, we're back. Round 2. We need a new one for our winter promo. And I was like, what? Absolutely. This doesn't happen in theater. Like, they don't call you to do Sound of Music again. No, that's not how it works. So I wonder if it's because once you get in, you actually get, you can start to get in with the people. I wonder if that's part of it. I don't know. Who knows?
It could be. I mean, a lot of times those casting directors are casting for repeat, that you want to be the voice of the brand rather than like, how many times are you going to play, somebody in Singing in the Rain? How many times are you going to do that over and over? It just seems like you could be the voice of the brand, or like even commercial work, you could do that. But, Flow, you've got all those kind of characters and stuff. But
that might be a thing too, because I mean, being versatile in using your voice as an instrument gives you way more opportunity than doing, once you do a couple shows, you're that guy, you start on.
You could be labeled that guy. Yeah.
And while You know, I've just myself in the limited experience I have. You know, I was a 14-year-old boy in a crashing airplane, a little red electric motorcycle, and a kite, all in the same
For
day.
your animation,
You know what I mean? Yeah, well, it's all in the same day. So I think we're finding some
Yeah.
profound realities here, because you can, and it doesn't matter what I look like, whether I shaved or not, whether my hair is long or short, whether I had new headshots.
Whether you're,
last year.
if you're at home, whether you're in your pajamas or not.
Yeah, exactly.
All that stuff.
I may not be wearing pants, and it's nobody.
I can still deliver this line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that might be a
It's
thing.
true.
We might have found a grail there.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Oh, I don't want to do it, but I think it's time to do it. What do you guys feel like? You think it's time to do it? It's
Are we tying
10:37.
this up in a bow? Is that
Say
is
what?
that we're doing?
Oh, we're that's do it. Yeah, we're putting it on a boat. Yeah.
Well, then,
Yeah.
Adam, I'll shoot it to you. Just how about you leave us with what's the best thing about being a voice actor, and then what have you found to be the most challenging thing, and that'll be our final thoughts from you.
The best thing about being a voice actor, and then the challenge. I mean, the best thing about being a voice actor for me, like we were just talking about, is probably that, you can, if you have that voice, and I feel like I'm, kind of been brought up with it, you can be so versatile to play a human, to an alien, to a fish, to a chair, like it's limitless, where, with film, film theater, you are very limited. So you can, that's the best thing, is you could play literally anything that these animators, these voiceover, these video game creators could imagine. That to me is so much fun. And you could do anything that physics doesn't matter, to these animations. And also you can hopefully inspire a generation of kids to be actors. That's what happened with me, is you can inspire a whole generation through a cartoon to be, we got some sirens over here, but to be an actor, that always resonated with me. I'd say. The most challenging thing of being a voice actor, I would say, I mean, partially for us here on the East Coast, it is that it is very LA based. It is that I would say is like, once you get in the door and once you start really making connections and stuff, it is, it starts feeding in on itself. But partially it is just, that disconnect of, it is so much out there, and it turning my head of, like, I went out there a couple of years ago, Jeff, you'll remember, for like a couple months just to see what it was like and stuff. And now it's like, if I really want to follow this, that's still where, and that's the thing with a lot of things, with acting, with voice, you have control. With that, you really don't have too much control. It is out there, and it's probably going to be out there to stay for a good long time.
Those studios are there, man.
Yeah.
Commercial work, definitely in New York.
Commercial work in New York, promo, all the rest, e-learning.
But if you're
audiobooks,
into anime,
you can do it here.
It's at Los Angeles. If you're into Cartoon Network, like you said, Los Angeles. That's true, man. Yeah.
So it's even, so that's probably, to end it, that's the strange paradox then, some of the best being able to do it, like we just said, in our underwear.
Yeah.
And yet still
they want you out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
There it is. There we have it. All right. Well, I don't know. I'm floored. You are our first guest.
So
I want to just do
Oh, thank you guys. That's really
thank
cool.
you for coming on, man.
Our very first guest.
Pleasure talking to you, dude.
Same, guys. Thank you so much. Really, like I said, if you guys have any questions or want to reach out, whatever it is, you got my
Well,
my
how can we find you? Say it here, and then we'll post it in.
Yeah, it's already in the description on Instagram.
Oh, it's got it.
Oh, yep. It's Instagram, Adam's Voices. You guys are good to go. That's
cool.
That's what we need to do. All right, if you're doing now, I know this. It looks nice and calm and easy in the chat, nice and calm and easy with the watchers. But if you're watching this on demand right now and you haven't done so, hit the nice subscribe button there. There's a little red thing there. It's a subscribe button. Yeah, so next time we go up and we talk about the craft evolved. Thank you so much for stopping by, Adam. Take it nice and easy. Awesome. Best of luck. And I just followed you. I hope everybody else does. I can't wait to follow you moving forward and see what happens. Make it what happens for you.
Cool. Thank you so much, guys. This was a blast. Thank you.
Thank
Awesome
you.
sauce. Jeff, brother in arms,
Goodbye, good night, and we'll see you next time. Yeah.
take it easy. All right.